We are proud to now present the Sustainability Hour in IVF, a flagship initiative of the IHW Council, previously hosted on global platforms including COP summits and high-level climate health dialogues. Today, for the first time, we bring Sustainability Hour into a mainstream healthcare conference and into the heart of fertility and reproductive care. Why, you might ask? Because behind every IVF cycle lies a carbon cost. Behind every state-of-the-art lab is a growing energy footprint. And behind every clinical protocol, the need for responsible innovation that protects both people and the planet. We believe that conversations on green IVF, sustainable embryology labs, and circular practices are not just desirable, they are necessary. And now, to officially introduce the session and guide us into this landmark discussion, please join me in welcoming Dr. Pankaj Talwar, President, Indian Fertility Society, Dr. Sarabpreet Singh, Director, The Fertilis Academy, Dr. Shalini Chawla Khanna, Associate Director, Department of IVF at Max Healthcare, Dr. Yogesh Kumar, Professor and Head, Clinical Embryology and Principal, SEART, Dr. Aanchal Agarwal, Director, Fertility and IVF, Cloudnine Fertility, Punjabi Bagh, and finally, our moderator, Dr. Meenu Vashisht Ahuja, Senior Consultant, Cloudnine Fertility. Can we have a huge round of applause for our panelists? Over to you, ma'am, to moderate the session.
Wonderful. Good afternoon to everybody here. Post-lunch, a different kind of a topic. First time ever, I think we are having a collaboration between, the fertility sector. So Indian Fertility Society has taken this initiative with IHW to talk about a very different kind of a topic today, sustainability in IVF. Spearheaded by our very dynamic president from the Indian Fertility Society, Dr. Colonel Pankaj Talwar sir. And all the people here that you see on stage with me here, they're all accomplished in their own fields. So I just want to do a little context setting before we really get started. We all know that the world is sitting atop a ticking time bomb. In the race for supremacy, the humankind has done irrevocable damage to Mother Earth. We are actually facing a huge planetary crisis. There is climate change, there is biodiversity loss, there is land degradation. Post-industrialization, I must tell you, after the mid-1800s, the incessant burning of fossil fuels has, done damage. So much of greenhouse gases being emitted into the atmosphere. The carbon dioxide level in the last 1,000 years has increased, doubled. And that is pretty alarming, I must tell you that. So by the end of the century, if this is how we go on, the globe is going to be 4 degrees warmer. The social, environmental, and the economic consequences of all this is going to be devastating. But we could do something about it. If we check the stop to increase of temperature to below 2 degrees, we could do something about it. And for this, we would need sustained policy action, climate smart solutions. Now, just let me give you a very simple definition of what sustainability is. It means meeting the need of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. And as it was just being run, you saw the SDG goals there. So in 2015, the UN, they adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And keeping in nature with that, the target was that you bring about progression, but keeping climate change in context. So all the audience here would wonder, and especially my colleagues from the medical fraternity and the IVF fraternity, they would wonder, I mean, what is the context? Why are we talking about all this? What has GHG emissions got to do with IVF or with medical? But definitely it is extremely relevant, need of the hour. You ought to know that the global carbon footprint is extremely high, to the note of 4.4%. And in India, healthcare is contributing about 5% to the GHG emissions. And this is not a small figure. I should reiterate that here, that it is not a small figure. Now, what is the problem statement of the IVF sector per se? It has potential of rapid expansion, we are all aware. Why? Because obviously there is increased demand and the technological advancement that is happening. A projected compound annual growth rate of 16.5%. So that is driving the industry. Currently, we are doing 2.25 lakh IVF cycles annually, and this figure is only expected to triple in the next 5 years. Single IVF cycle, please take note. Single IVF cycle generates about 1.19 tons of CO2 emissions. And if you look at that cumulatively across the globe, that is a huge number. You cannot really overlook that. You cannot. Now, how is it that the IVF industry, ultimately is practically contributing to all this? Very resource intensive, very energy intensive. So the emissions in the industry, they stem from extensive energy consumption, because energy hungry equipments, emissions generated by the procurement process, extensive use of plastic disposables, inadequate management of generated biomedical waste, and cryopreservation logistics. So all these are responsible. And unfortunately, contributing to environmental damage, to plastic pollution, all the endocrine disrupting chemicals that are being released are in fact lowering fertility. So paradoxically, the technology which was supposed to help with fertility is actually contributing to the problem. And there is a need for concrete solutions here. Indian Fertility Society, our president, Dr. Professor Pankaj Talwar sir, and the Secretary General IFS, Dr. Shweta Mittal, wanted the medical fraternity, the IVF community, to become aware of all these facts and bring about changes for a better, greener, more sustainable future. And hence, we have started a project called Green ART. So, the visionary behind all of this, who breathed life into the concept of Green ART, is none other than President Dr. Colonel Pankaj Talwar sir. So, sir, please share with our audience how this path-breaking idea germinated, and also what has IFS, under your guidance and leadership, done by taking up the project, and the first time ever that we are starting a program targeting sustainability in IVF.
So thank you, Dr. Meenu. I think first of all, a heartiest welcome to all of you for this very special session we are having on Green ART clinics. I'm quite a vintage person, looking at my gray hairs, and today I have with me 3 clinicians and 2.5 embryologists, including me. What we have seen, what I saw, see, we contribute in multiple ways in embryology as well as the clinician. When we construct a center, an average ART clinic takes around 4,000 square feet of area. And it has got a huge air conditioning backup. It's got heating, ventilating backup, a large amount of paint, a large amount of building material goes into it. It was my trip to Israel sometime back. When I was in Haifa, when I was walking in the corridors, I felt that as I'm walking, lights are dimming, lights are trying to go up in the intensity. I actually thought place is haunted. I went to my professor and told him, sir, yahan kuch haunted hai, lights apne aap jalti buझती hain. He said, no, idiot, it is not like that. It is, they're biosensing. And then when I come back to India, you find that every ART clinic is a huge elephant just guzzling away. Like for carbon footprinting, we talk about giraffe, as we all know about it. I think it's a multiple giraffes generating carbon dioxide. They generate a lot of carbon dioxide. We have got huge AC plants. We got and the whole day and night our AC plants are working, HVACs are working. The whole day and night our UPS and inverters are working. And in case you look at the energy being consumed is enormous, enormous. So what I did, I wanted to find out how is the energy being generated. Simply so I went to a place in Nagpur. And then I realized that whatever we use here, all the lights are coming to us, there is a coal burning behind it. हमारे देश के अंदर बिजली अभी भी न्यूक्लियर प्लांट से बहुत कम बनती है, though we have 2 places in India which make nuclear energy. We are burning coal somewhere, and when hydrocarbons they burn, they give you carbon dioxide. So that is leading to more of carbon footprinting. That's number one, which I felt was very, very sad, because that is leading to global warming. Second important thing is that when we have more excessive air conditioning, we don't have compliant centers, we are running air conditioning plants. And when they run, they are raising the temperature of the whole area by the very fact they are running 24/7. So we thought, why don't we apply it to our ART clinic? So we sat down and we worked out how much is the carbon footprint of a ART clinic, which is a huge establishment. It is, though we may feel that we only do around 30, 40 or 100 cases a month, but it guzzles energy because we don't stop anything. It keeps working around the clock like any big hospital. There's a time when we thought that let's do something for the community. And IFS has always stood by transforming lives and guiding people to do something for the nation. दूसरा जो मेरे में जो feeling थी, being an army guy, that was that we should have something made in India. You know, guys, the most important problem of carbon footprinting is the number of aircraft sailing into our country, the number of ships sailing to our country.
Missions.
They're called Scope 3. So there are 3 types of missions. I think Dr. Meenu and the team will cover up. So we have got traveling, or everything is coming from outside the country. And even for a small syringe which we use, I think both Yogesh and Sarpit will agree that when you use a syringe for an embryo transfer, you prefer an HSW syringe. Green syringe comes from Germany. So everything is coming from outside the country, and when it comes to your country, they are guzzling fuel in the air. Tons and tons of petrol engine are burning, and that is generating large amount of carbon footprint. So I thought, why not Atmanirbhar Bharat? And that's my feeling as an army guy who came to me, that why don't we go in for make in India, made in India, and making our country self-reliant. And for that, I think, again, in case we start making things in our own country, we won't have dependence upon all these European countries. As you've seen, I never knew that Trump will come to power, and whatever you're seeing all over the world, tariff wars, things are occurring. In case we are compliant with our own things, we don't need anyone. And that's my second fundamental, that Indian Fertility Society and not IFS. We are all one. Amit was sitting here. We are all one. We are all doctors like you, like each other. We want that. We should buy minimal things from the outside the country. For that, we have to make things in our country, and that will automatically reduce carbon footprinting. So these 2 things were in mind, and that began our journey further.
Sir, I would like the audience to know what work we have done so far as the 9 teams that we created, and how you have led it so far. A little on that, sir.
So I was remembering, Amit, he just left. I was saying in green emission, we are all the same. It's just an idea when we all work together. What we did was that we started with a launch program. See, I personally, again, my army background, I don't believe in ideation. I believe in execution. And that's what the whole team has done with the group of embryologists and clinicians. We have made 9 teams. These 9 teams are looking after the whole, and they are all over the country. We picked up people. We've got nearly 100 people in our teams. So what we are doing is that we have divided. As you can see, we do multiple meetings. Our team 1 is here, which talks about sustainable IVF. What is that? Second is the team on designing a sustainable lab. Then how does a clinician look at it to an ART clinic? Then we've got low cost, low down environment, and so on, biomedical waste and embryology, cryobiology. So we made teams. The teams are working all over the country, and now we ideated first. Initially, we ideated. We didn't know whether it's going to work or not. So we ideated. And for ideation, we had a CME. And then we came to the second thing called execution. Now, here we are working 24/7. I think we have had more than 60 meetings done internally, and multiple of them done on Zoom meeting, on Zoom platform. And we are executing now, which is multiple meetings which we are doing. We are releasing our first white paper. I think it will be the first white paper from Asian subcontinent, coming from that too from ART Fraternity, which is coming in month of August. I think we are on line for that.
Yes, sir.
So we are releasing a white paper, and every month we create a bulletin. We need to create a bulletin. And today morning, so Gofik, Mr. Rajiv, in case he is there, and Rajiv ji is there. Rajiv ji, thank you so much for being with us. And today morning we initiated a very formal walkathon, and because I personally feel that we always talk about taking tablets. हम दवाई खाना चाहते हैं to reduce epigenetic changes. Because we have green atmosphere around us, the babies will be green. They won't need the drug therapies. They'll live longer by itself, and they'll have minimal deformities. So these bulletins we are now starting, and with the help of Gufik, we launched a program in the morning with some Zumba and walkathon, and you would have seen us all over the social media today. And now to actually execute, we have taken 5 centers have been selected. These 5 centers will be beginning their work from 15th of August. That's the plan. It's an ongoing process. It's not in my tenure. It's going to carry on for a couple of years. And these units have been selected. The units will be, we are now we are trying to mark their carbon footprint before we start, and then carbon footprinting how things change later. So I think I owe it to you all, Dr. Meenu, Shalini, and everyone. So thanks for being with me. There's a plan for us, and I request all of you to join in this cause that goes beyond any societies, goes beyond any organizations. Any one of you who wants to join us, you're most welcome. It's not our mission, it's everybody's mission to change the world. As I end, I've been talking from past 4 or 5 minutes, maybe more. The dinosaurs would have thought that they rule the world with big claws and big teeth, eating everyone, eating each other also. But before dinosaurs, they realized one meteor hit probably, and they all vanished. In case we don't wake up today, gentlemen, ladies, we'll be like dinosaurs only. And I really wonder why the whole of US is talking about relocating to Mars. So when I read the plans, I went through what Elon Musk is saying. I actually follow him. I'm a great fan of his. They want to make a big domes on the Mars, big domes on the moon, and they want to transport people from here to Mars to stay because Earth is becoming polluted. And then they fill those domes with oxygen there. When we can't look after our own Earth, how will we maintain Mars and Moon? So I think it's time has come for all of us. And I think I'm so grateful to IHW Council and Gofik for giving us this opportunity. And thank you so much, Meenu.
Thank you,
everyone
sir.
Enough.
So this was to tell you as to how the thought originated and how we've been trying to work on it. Now, to make it very practical, this may all seem like, okay, this is all just talk, but we want to make it practical. And so we have, kind of divided this into practical steps possible for us as clinicians, as embryologists, to really work on it in our own day-to-day clinics, our labs. So my first question to my 2 accomplished clinician colleagues here, Dr. Shalini and Dr. Anchal, one after the other, I would like you to, tell our audiences here that how can we be more mindful of our sustainable actions while we are handling our day-to-day clinical work in the clinics, in our OT labs. So Dr. Shalini ma'am, if you could start first.
Yeah. So, Meenu, beginning with that, we as a clinicians, we have to be very, very cautious about the minute and the small little things. Like as a clinicians, when we are doing IVF for the patients, the patients have to come. There are centers which call patients daily. Now, when patients are coming daily, they are using the transport, the fuel is burning, the fossil fuel is burning.
Yes.
Yeah, that is scope 3. Again, it is there. the hormones they are being used, and these hormones are also being the injections also they are being transported. Then the extensive monitoring we call them, so the small little things, it is not needed that we do the ultrasound monitoring every day. We can call them every 3 or 4 days. We can teach them to use injections at their place. The hormonal testing that is required, that also we can avoid. This is from the clinical part. Now once we are in the IVF center, we as a persons, we as a clinicians, we can small little things like, once the sir took this great initiative, and once we read that paper, and once we realized small little things, like we are using paper, right, left, center, we are using, for the discharge slips we are using paper so much. Our IVF records are full of plethora of paperwork, so we can be mindful of that. Each paper requires so much, the trees are cut for generating paper, so we can be mindful of that. These scrub stations that we use, the water tap keeps on running for 1 minute, these sensors are there, so why not put it off when and use them diligently. These disposables, these plastics, and these head caps and the masks, these, why can't be they like this can be used, the fabric caps can be used, and the cloths and all laundry bags that we are using are full of plastics, and plastics we know that they are endocrine disruptors. So these small little things, I think the change has to come from within. We don't want the change to be exhaustive. We want these small little things like switch off, have sensors, like sir said, it was blinking on and off. So let's have those sensors, these small little things. Energy intense, all IVF units are energy intense. But if we are little mindful of all those things, if we just train our staff a little bit, I think we can bring a whole lot of change in that. These small little things will definitely go a long way. If we tell our sisters to not to waste paper, to switch off the lights, and to use the paper judiciously, to switch off the lights, and avoid consumption.
Very correctly said,
water.
ma'am. Now, Dr. Anchal, what's your 2 pence on it? On the clinical side, please.
Yeah, so in addition to what Dr. Shalini has elaborated, I agree to all she says. In addition to that, a very, very important and practical point is the consents and the form filling that we do in IVF. Form F, Form G, all kinds of consents for embryo freezing, for IVF cycle, for surrogacy, for donor. So many paper consents we are taking. So if we can have a digital way of taking consents, we save our data, IVF data digitally, we take the consents digitally, and if we can devise a system with government approval so that we have video consults and we have digitally recorded consents, that is also going to save us a lot of paper. In addition to that, those who are now building new centers can incorporate the renewable sources of energy. Like we all can have solar panels. It's nowadays very good solar panel energy is available. So if not completely, at least a large portion of it can be generated through the renewable sources of energy. So this is in addition to what we
and just a little another input, like we all have our clinics wherein we, our patients have access to water. So the water bottles, and even here in the program, now this is the plastic water bottles should be done away with. This is all adding to the plastic burden. So this is also something we should consciously think of, the paper cups that we have in our reception areas. So these are little things that you can tweak and actually contribute. So one should not really overlook all this. And you will also realize on the long run that this will save you cost. Now this being the clinical perspective, now if you have to design your labs, what can be the measures that will help with the building material, the selection of the building management systems, the energy water efficiency? What all can contribute to making the IVF labs more sustainable? I would like to ask Dr. Pankaj Talwar sir about this particular aspect, sir.
I think, first of all, we look at the infrastructure. we should be using green paints. Something called green paints are available, which have got a very low VOC output. So green paints are something like what Shah Rukh Khan is marketing on the TV. They are 5 to 20 grams per liter of VOC, they're low VOC content. So we should be using green paints in case we use them. Whatever we use, we should be using, suppose we use a silicone glue, just for, the silicone glue also comes in multiple ways. We use a silicone glue which has got very low VOC. So they are low VOC transparent glues. That's about the type of building material should be low VOC. We shouldn't be using MDF boards because they've got resin in them. When heated and cooled, they bring out VOC. That's about the building material. Then I think energy conservation is very, very important. And average IVF center, when I look at them, they got a monthly bill of around 20 lakh rupees on bijli ka bill aata hai, 20 lakh rupee ka. On average in the peak of summers because HVAC is working throughout 24/7. So I think we should have auto-regulated HVAC systems. HVACs are to some extent mandatory the way we work. So we have to save on the electricity so that it shuts off by itself. We should use dimmers, which works without our intervention. See, we have to bring AI into the whole thing so that when we are working, that things happen by themselves. I think we have to look at the energy consumption. And thirdly, which is very important thing, which I always talk is that wastage of water. I've seen that in our scrubs everywhere, water is being guzzled 24/7. I think we should have automated water dispensers. When you go to a scrub, that should have an electronic sort of thing so that we don't use much of water. And then I think there are three things which I like to add. Otherwise, I've covered everything before.
And of course, rather than that, there are lots of innovations happening. The kind of lighting that we can allow with the new kind of window systems and all. So a lot of innovation is happening in this field. And of course, it might look very energy intensive and cost-wise, you might think that setting up something like this will incur a lot of cost. But if you see the ROI on the long term and the benefit that you give yourselves and the society and your patients, this will definitely go a long way. Now, after having spoken about how and what you can do about making your labs sustainable, now our labs are the sanctum sanctorum of our IVF units. So my next question would be to Dr. Sarabpreet, who is the embryology chair of IFS and in our program. So what is your talk on measures that can be taken inside our IVF labs such that we minimize the GHG emissions?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks to IHW Council and GUFIC and IFS, Dr. Talwar. I've been hearing this discussion and everything looks so basic. But honestly, the basic is the only thing which needs to be reiterated. So 3 B's for me here. Basic needs to be reiterated. Mere karne se kya hoga? Nahi. Do your bit. And back to the future. We have to look back into what we used to do in the past. We used to drive glass pipettes. We can go back to glass pipettes for denudation. We can go back to pasture pipettes for picking up oocytes. Small things will make a cumulative huge difference, I feel. Along with it, education, engagement, awareness, and in total involvement of the whole staff has to be ensured. Otherwise, we really can't make a difference. We really can't make a difference if we are doing it, all by ourselves. We have to involve the whole team.
A top-down or a bottom-up kind of an approach. Yes.
Yeah, I think for a new lab, top-down. For an old lab, it can be a bottoms-up approach also, which works. Because, ultimately, you have to involve people. Secondly, as Sir said, whenever you're making infrastructure, you have to look at the star ratings. You have to go for the most cost-efficient and most energy-efficient material, HVACs, their fans. You have to look into the minute details, the incubators, the people who are doing the job. The quality control program has to be in place. SOP adherence is a must. This will not only, ensure a very good result, but also ensure that wastage is to a minimum. So again, 4 R's for me: reduce gases, reduce energy consumption, recycle whatever you can, maybe reuse scrubs, masks, you can wash, you can have cloth, as well as re-christian or innovate or reformulate the procedures. So we can have, if we are making 10 dishes, no point in using 10 pipettes. You can use a single test tube, put oil into it, and layer the dish one by one. So various ways, small things in which you can reduce the use of single-use plastics. And the list goes on and on. I mean, there is no end to it. So equipment has to be bought in a very judicious way. Then consumables and disposables, you can go for Make in India plastics, which are available now. They are world class. And even the consumables, the media, the injectables, everything is available now, Make in India, and which is actually at par with the rest of the world. So I think this is from my side, and maybe Yogesh can throw some light on the cryopreservation also.
Absolutely. So now, Dr. Yogesh, just please share with our audience how the cryogenic logistics, they contribute to the greenhouse emissions, and what you can do to minimize that.
Very first of all, thank you, Talwar Saab, IFS, UFIC, and organizers for giving us opportunity. What we are talking about, sustainable development, sustainability. It is not that cause that I am telling and you are following. It is individual's responsibility. If I am responsible for the environment, then it can help me out. Whatever I am feeling at the level of cryobiology and handling the embryos, oocytes, gametes, anything. So I am working for the gynecologist, Meenu madam and Dr. Archana and Dr. Shalini. They are saying me freeze it, I will freeze it. They will tell me thaw it, I will thaw it. But what we are thawing. At the time of a number of the times I am using this liquid nitrogen, I am just adding something to the environment that is not good. More the time I am exposing. Liquid nitrogen is meant for only and only for the evaporation. It evaporates, once it evaporates, you requires more and more and more. When you requires more, you will place the order, then you will get all those trucks to carry those small liters of the liquid nitrogen to your lab. And then what I am telling, that engine is exhaust, that exhaust is exhausting something that is adding to the carbon emissions to the environment daily. So what I can minimize? I can minimize that I can tell you gynecologist to make the batch IVF or club the more of the patients so that we can do all of our work as far as this consumption of the liquid nitrogen is concerned in one go only. And talking about this daily routine work, if I am working for a good, huge lab, there are many number of the patients are happening, then we can think about this in-house production of the liquid nitrogen. There are the countries like Netherlands, small countries, very small size of number of the peoples are there. They have taken the initiative. They are using it. They are bringing everything into their lab so that minimal exposure, so that they are very less dependency over the fuels that is coming from the fossil. Fossil fuels is being burning, and when something is burning, then we are adding carbon emissions. Carbon emissions means carbon footprinting. Carbon footprinting means you are just doing something hazardous to the ozone. Once something is happening at the level of the ozone, then directly, indirectly, sooner or later, it will kill me. So what we are giving our generation. So what I am doing in my lab, just I am shifted from this big box to the smaller box. I am just shifting from all the thawing and freezing in one go only. Just taking all the decision from all you gynecologists that tell me, madam, how many patients are to be done on that very day. So in one go only, so I am just not whole day involved in freezing and thawing, keeping this liquid nitrogen in and out. In one go only, small box, helping me out. And what I am anticipating from you as an individual working for the patients, because few days back, 5 years back, there was debate in many conferences like freeze-all cycle. If you are telling me freeze-all cycle, I need to freeze it. Freeze it means what? 4 cycle failure, 5 cycle failures means how many failures we have taken and how many times we have used that liquid nitrogen that been carried by these wheels, on the wheels. So we need to minimize it. So
very right there, Dr. Yogesh, because
so much.
We all have gone into that mode of freeze all, but also then we should realize that where indicated, of course, clinically, we should not really just automatically, think of that. That should not be the norm. And even otherwise.
One more point I want to add very beautifully, because last days I was just going through this literature, just comparing the fresh cycle versus the frozen. I came to know that all these frozen cycle babies, those are having more, the birth weight is higher than the fresh cycles. So why we are thinking, if they, we all very intellectual people. So if we can minimize it from freeze all to the few of the patients with the fresh cycle, then we can minimize. Then if we are collectively, as madam said, 2.5 lakh cycles in a year, and it is going to be triple. So we can minimize. If we are minimizing, then indirectly or directly, without knowing or without unknowingly, we can sustain our environment. This is something from my side.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yogesh. So again, not only on the embryology side, also on the clinical side, we have to kind of go back to the basics, try and minimize cost and our resources. So making IVF, it definitely incurs huge cost as of now. We are all aware of it. But how, as clinicians, now my embryology colleagues have spoken of what they can do inside the labs. But Dr. Anchal, as a clinician's perspective, how can we really lower the cost and thus contribute to, again, because lower cost would mean lesser resources, and that ultimately, because every activity contributing to GHG emissions. So your take on that?
So a very, very important contributor of reducing the cost is Made in India, which was, the initiative was launched by Government of India in 2014, and we need to fall in line with that. If we reduce first and then completely stop importing stuff from outside, consumables, media, hormones. So we have such big pharmaceutical companies who are, but most of the hormones are being packaged here, raw materials being, imported from outside. So why can't we have our own setups to make our own hormones? If we could make COVID vaccine, we can make whatever
Absolutely,
we need.
absolutely.
Yeah?
Correct.
So, and that was made in emergency, in a dire situation. Now we can very well plan and execute it also. In addition to that, media. I remember our old senior embryologist, while I was doing my fellowship, they used to make media in-house because it was very difficult to import from outside, and we were still getting results. Now we are 25 years above that. We are 25 years ahead of that. So we can make our own media, we can make our own consumables, thereby reducing the cost drastically. So Made in India is something we really need to focus upon. And also, in addition to that, I think we should now reduce the stimulations. Giving the same protocol, giving 225 units, 300 units to everybody and hyperstimulating. I guess now the technology is so advanced, we are moving on to single embryo transfer. So why are we stimulating so much? Why can't we give lesser doses of hormones, reduce the cost of hormone in an IVF cycle, and thereby reducing the overall cost? So this is the bit we can do on our end, and along with that, create awareness and maybe put in some request to the government to make some changes in policy, so that in-house production can be encouraged, some subsidies can be given, and also some technological advancements can be done
Anchal,
on our end.
we'd like to come to that a little later though. Again, Dr. Shalini, talking about the low cost that can be implemented in IVF, what are the other steps we could think of, like in terms of the day-to-day work, the luteal phase support that we push in, or the adjuvants? Shouldn't we think about all that? That adds to the cost as well.
Yeah, certainly. These little minute details and these minor uses of like add-ons, every center, every clinician, myself also, like we use so much of co-cues, antioxidants, everything. We are just, using so much of all these drugs, luteal phase, not even just one product. We are using multiple drugs and multiple ways. So these small little things, like Achal said, minimal stimulation. If it is a PCOS patient, use it very judiciously, minimize the use of the gonadotrophins, and then minimize the use of hormones, injections, tablets in the luteal phase also. So these are the small little things, I think, which can certainly go a long way if all we collectively take small baby steps.
And while we are working, the lab is working, the clinic is working, a lot of biomedical waste is being generated. So the dry waste, the wet waste, the medically hazardous waste. So there has to be proper, sequence of handling all this. This is important again. Why? Because this will all end up in your landfills or being handled inappropriately, and again contributing to your greenhouse gas emissions. So since Dr. Shalini is part of the team which is delving with this particular topic particularly, my next question is again targeted to you, Dr. Shalini ma'am, that what is it that can be done best for good waste management in this context?
So the old paradigm of 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle. Now we have to move on to the first and the most important basic step is prevention. So if we do the prevention at the first step, that will take us a long way. So it is prevent, reuse, reduce, reuse, and recycle. So like coming, as in my first talk also, I said, in my first answer also, I said that prevention means by consciously we are making an effort to reduce the consumption of all these things, be it paper, be it electricity, be it water, be it the consumption of plastics. We all know plastics like these Bisleri bottles and all, they contain so harsh chemicals. These are endocrine disruptors. So minimize the use of all of these. Dr. Pankaj Talwar sir, Dr. Sarapri, Dr. Yogesh, everybody said minimize the use of pipettes, use glass pipettes, minimize plastic use. So all this, it has to come from within all of us. Prevention is the first and most important thing. Our aim is to reduce the waste. The proper biomedical waste guidelines are there. Proper segregators, if they are the central segregators, like if we segregate the green, the wet and the dry waste, and these yellow, red, blue and white, if we segregate the waste properly, it will certainly helping in reducing the amount of recycling of the waste that we are doing. In fact, if we do the proper segregation, the recycling amount can be reduced to as high as 30%. Now, incinerators, while we are incinerating the products, we are generating the carbon footprints, we are generating the carbons, they are depleting the ozone layer, the greenhouse gas effect, they are leading to global warming and eutrophication of the toxic products. So all this is leading to causing so much of harm to the aquatic animals and so much of harm to the other animals also. So I think that is very, very important. And along with that, we must focus on recycled material also, like the packaging material that comes, the gel foams that we use, they can be recycled. There should be a policy that these gels and all, the company should take it back, the plastics, they should take it back and reuse and maybe use it to generate something good which can be used for another purposes. So I think all these would take us a long way.
And again, very recently I had come across a little article which said in Lucknow, one of our own Indian cities, where the landfill waste has been treated so beautifully. They have done a wonderful job of it. And I think initiatives like this, which are becoming rather a way of life now in India, I think these need to be, spoken of, done practically on ground.
Composting.
Yes. And now that we have, spoken of the general change in paradigm or the thought process that we should bring about, we are trying to make a change. And even if they are tiny steps and we're just beginning the journey, I think they will take us somewhere. So again, to wind up, a final word, Dr. Talwar, sir, would you like us to have some takeaways from the conversation here today? And what is it that you envision? Is it an initiative like ours? Is it going to really make a difference? So what do you, the audience, what should they take away from the conversation that we have conducted here today? As an awareness drive, of course, but what else, sir?
I think every breath makes a difference. Every breath we take makes a difference. Every thought makes a difference. And every time we don't work to see the outcome, we know what is right, what is wrong for us. I think all of us should get involved into this. And as you people go home today, I think we spent around 4 hours every day on WhatsApp or social media looking at what people say about us or we say something about them. Today, as you're driving back home, just go to the carbon calculator on your mobile phones and calculate how much is a carbon footprint which you are generating. And then sit with your wife, look at the household carbon footprint. My carbon footprint, I think, is worth around, say, around 500 people, common citizens of the country. So much is the carbon footprint I have. And my household is mind-boggling carbon footprint. So I think मेरा एक ही थोड़ा सलाह रहेगा सबको कि इसके बारे में आप प्लीज़ आज पढ़ें और it'll take only 10 minutes for you to know how much carbon you are generating. And we must look at the Paris Treaty, which says that we should be having zero emission by 2040 or say by 2045. And I think that's the thing which will probably, I'm sure that is going to shake you up. आप ज़रूर हिलेंगे और जानेंगे कि हम कितना अपने वातावरण को प्रदूषित कर रहे हैं. And that is very, very important. So first thing, Meenu, will be realization that we are doing something wrong.
Yes, first at the individual level.
Because carbon footprint for every individual is already calculated. We know how much we should generate, and we're generating for 300 people. That's by traveling every time, taking flight at drop of the hat. Everyone is having their own. So get an e-vehicle, get an electrical vehicle, something of that nature.
Yes.
But एक बार अपने अंदर झांक के देखें हम क्या कर सकते हैं. Only then we can do the things. Or one day definitely will, like this will go like a dinosaur, and we are hitting that. Thank you so much. That's from my end.
Thank you to my wonderful panel here. I am really thankful to IHW for giving us a platform so that we could discuss something like this. And a request to all of you to be, we are compassionate to our patients, but let's be compassionate to our own selves, because by doing this, we are going to be, ensuring that our future generations at least have some future to look forward to. We do not have a planet B. We only have a Mother Earth. And I think this is the only chance, even if we start today, and this is not a one-time fix. This is going to be a sustained practice which we should follow at an individual level, at an organizational level. So it's an earnest request to each and every one of you that try and sensitize yourselves to this and try and take your little steps and do your little bit. Thank you so much.
I'm going to say something as we end. All the people who from pharma friends who actually support us all the time, I think you must look at your ESG report. There is some report which we submit every year that how much we are polluting the environment as a company. So I think when we have more made in India coming up now, all the big companies, small companies, you and me, everyone should live. We look at a carbon footprint, but they look at their ESG outcome. And let us not do greenwashing. Greenwashing is like a little pigeon who will close his eyes, or a rabbit who will close his eyes. When I was in the army, to hunt a rabbit is very simple. You go out in the mountains in the night, we had jeeps or gypsies that time, and the rabbits will just freeze and they'll close their eyes, and we will pick up the rabbits, and then people could eat them. So we are like that. We are shutting our eyes to the problem. So let's not lie to ourselves. Know the carbon footprint of your own homes. With your wives, you get a number. For yourself, get a number, and then don't do any greenwashing. कि सब चलता है. I think this is one thing which we have to stop it right away from today. Thank you so much.
Indeed, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So as individuals, as policy makers, the government agencies, the pharmaceutical industry, earnest request to everyone to work towards this. Thank you so much for having us here, IHW. Thank you for this platform. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to all our speakers for this informative session. It's definitely the need of the hour. May I please invite Mr. Kamal to felicitate our guests?
So thank you, Dr. Talwar and all our speakers for making this sustainability hour possible in this very unusual conference where sustainability is normally not a conversation we jump on. One thing, Dr. Salini, so you mentioned about the plastic bottle. We do try to keep glass bottles, but sometime what happens, we believe and we learn every day. So some people came up with a argument that recycling a glass bottle is much more carbon generating than the plastic bottle. Yeah. So yeah, so many times you have to recycle the bottle which you buy, but you recycle on a lesser frequency. The second is, but recently I learned that these are more harmful because of microplastic. So, so more than sustainability, it is good not to drink from these plastic bottle for microplastic, which also lead to infertility. So
In addition, because we don't know how they are transported. They've been transported in heat in vehicles, and how long they have been in higher temperatures, we are not aware of that. They come to us cooled, but before that, there are a lot of harmful chemicals which are already in that water.
So I think we need to learn a lot every day and try to put in some effort wherever, whichever way we can do. And I'm sure there are a lot of action point you all have suggested. This will definitely help the industry and for all of them in their private life, in their personal life also. Thank you so much.
Small little change, like while we are going to the market, let's not take the water in these plastic bottles. We can take our own steel bottles. So, these small little things which help, which will certainly help us.
Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen?
No hierarchy in good work. And we have especially got planned for this session. So we are trying to. Plant will be given by Dr. Patel. Yes. This is for Dr. Ahuja. We are starting from here.
Let's keep the applause going, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the panelists. I would request Dr. Pankaj Talwar to stay back with us on stage for a little longer.
For you. between Asha and Asha.